Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another 1010 Baltimore talk show. I'm your host, Bruce Jackson, and I'm here with two special guests. To my immediate right is Mr. Tyree Miles of the Republic of Great Men of Pearl.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And then we have Miss Nicole Lawson. Welcome to the show. Welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good. So what we've been doing, 1010 Baltimore's goal and mission has been to provide community awareness, to let people know positive things that's going on in our city. We believe that the media does an awesome job at providing us with all the negative things that go on in our city, but I believe that there's some positive things that go on as well, and that people don't know about, you know. And I've been on social media, I've been seeing you guys and the great things you've been doing. I just wanted to invite you to the show and have you come and talk about what you're doing and tell your story. So Tyree, we'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you got going on right now, man.
Well, my name is Tyree Miles. I'm part owner of, well, me and my brother have a clothing line called the Republic of Great Men. Okay. And the Republic represents the people, and Great Men stands for God reveals everything, and time manifests excellence naturally.
Wow.
I've been mentoring since about 1995. I've been in school systems and also working in different group homes. And as of late, recently, I just signed a publishing deal with Urban Exchange Publishing, so I have a book coming out.
Great.
I'm a father. I have 6 kids, 4 boys, 2 girls.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to, stay positive.
Good.
Product of East and West Baltimore. My father, I grew up with my mom and my dad, so it was a basic shift of learning East Baltimore, the fast life.
Right.
And then West Baltimore, knowing the differences. So I kind of, I'm happy that I went through that.
Good.
And other than that, just here.
So a little bit about your book. What's the name of your book?
Experiences and Emotions Through the Eyes of Tyree Miles.
Okay.
And it's basically about different things I've seen. I've seen a lot, done a lot, and basically want to get people to think a little different. I can't say think a little different, but see things in a different way.
Gotcha.
That's about it.
Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you have going on.
Well, I'm a mother of 2. I currently started an organization, Faith Wins Organization. What I do is I help families with fires and disasters. The purpose of starting that organization is because I was in a fire myself. I actually got firsthand experience on being homeless, on the city when it comes to helping when you go through those situations in life. I'm also a product of being a child of 2 parents that were on drugs, which is basically the norm in Baltimore.
It's become that.
Pretty much. Also, I've been through what you call molestation as well.
Wow.
So what I do with my program is I help families. I mentor them as well. When I mentor them far as getting them through the process of the fires. The mental part that you have to go through, the part of having or feeling like you don't have anyone. I also take high school students and I give them community service hours with that organization as well. And what I try to do right now is pretty much mentor through Facebook as well. I put up a motivational saying every day. I try to put up things that I've been through and to mentor people through that because you never know what someone else is going through.
Right.
I'm currently a part of the neighborhood association as well.
Okay.
I'm the youngest member on the neighborhood association.
Wow.
And what I'm trying to do with that is pretty much bring the youth back to our community. Get the youth back and doing the things that we used to do back in the days when we had, summer camp and PAL, and, play hopscotch and things of that nature. So I just try to be an advocate of positivity when it comes to women and also with the young men as well. I understand their journeys when it comes to the drug dealers and the dropouts and not having no fathers at home. And so I pretty much have been through a lot of life experiences that can help me to mentor others. That's and good. The youth and bring them back.
Right. Experience is one of the greatest teachers. I've always believed that. But that's powerful. I love what both of you are doing. And Nicole, I've never heard of it before, so I think what you're doing is really remarkable because most people who've never experienced a fire, which I haven't, I don't know what it's like to go through it.
Right.
The loss that you experience, the emotional emotional state of mind and stuff that you go through.
Definitely.
And if people don't have the right support or the right insurance, you know, they end up in a boatload of trouble. So you've been having experienced that and been through that, and now turn around helping people who are going through what you've gone through. We had a chance to talk before the show, and I believe you told me that you've already helped so far this year 7 families.
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yes, I've helped 7 families.
Wow.
I've gathered donations down from adult clothes to children to newborn.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So a part of the show, I mean, you guys just fit right in because the goal is figuring out ways to build our community, get our community back to a positive place, back to a place where people speak to one another. You know, I'm sure you being out there in the community, talking to people, mentoring people, seeing what's going on in our city, you would see and say that we have some room for improvement.
Exactly.
And what do you feel, Tyree, I'll start with you, what do you feel of some of the issues that's really facing us right now that's really holding our city back?
One thing I would say that now, well, when I grew up, we had respect for our elders, whereas we always show respect. It seems like these days the youth, for one, don't respect anything, life or anybody. So we just need to get that, instill the old school feeling back, I believe, and get back to, you know, basically raising them how we were raised, respect, teach them etiquettes, and basically bring a respect back, because the respect is gone, and the love is gone. So that's what I think. I think if we can basically get together and just basically show them that we care, because these youth basically do anything just to cry out for help. We may look at it as another way, whereas they may be acting out, but they just want attention. They just want to be shown some type of attention, that's all. So we have to understand them. That's the first part. That's the first part. And show them that we care.
Right. Nicole, what would you say some of the issues you've been seeing?
Well, first-hand issues that I've seen is, like I stated before, a lot of the parents from my generation were on drugs, or were hustling and weren't in the home. Where a lot of us were raised by grandparents. I'm one of myself. So back then you had a lot of, you know, elderly, and you had what you call the community raised the children. We don't have that now.
Right.
Not only that, we had officer friendly back then.
Right.
We don't have that now. We had summer camps and things to do. We don't have that now. Nowadays, all you have is, for example, I have a 12-year-old son. It's mainly about the Nintendo stations or the PlayStations or the new technology, whereas though our children don't even know how to, you know, add or subtract without getting a calculator or going on the internet for their homework now. They don't even know how to write, because now everything's done through the internet or on the computer now. And what I feel that we need, first of all, is the community to come back together. I feel as though the churches need to come back together and step out to the community. Some of us are ones that will turn away from the door or don't answer when the Jehovah's Witnesses knock on the door.
Right.
But if we pay attention to it, they're reaching out to their community.
Right.
But we're judging.
Right, absolutely.
So on that note, I just feel as though a lot of us that do have that good background with the morals and values need to step up. I feel like a lot of those men that have been out there and been to jail for a long time need to step up. You know, I just think that it takes more than one. It takes a team. Right. It takes community. If you see that the children are acting out, don't talk about them. Say, hey, pull your pants up.
Right.
You know, or hey, what's going on with you today?
Right.
Or when I see the little girls walking down the street and we let the little boys pull on them, we talk to them. You try to help them out instead of just judging them and trying to talk about them and down degrade them. And then when you have the city officials grading and judging, it doesn't help at all.
Right. Do you feel like the media has painted a picture to make people feel like that they should be scared of young people?
That's their job.
Yeah.
So I would say yes. The media always, I mean, they talk about the positive, but their job is to make you know, light out of the negative stuff. We can take the Bill Cosby thing for example. They were plastering this man. He did this, did that. They didn't talk about none of the things that he was not guilty of. It was everything about that he was guilty of.
Right.
So, yeah, that's their job, though. So we as the people have to basically think and know what's going on with the media.
Right. Now, do you, being in the mentoring field and being out there actively mentoring young men, mentoring young women, do you feel like that the picture that's painted is 100% accurate? Like, do you get the negative response when you tell a young man to pull his pants up?
All the time.
Yeah, you do. But I still feel as though it's up to you as well as a person, and as you stand as an individual, that child should not frighten you. You know, and I just feel as though, okay, if they do have something negative to say, it's all in how you perceive it and how you receive it and how you react to it. You know, because I've had it. I've had the negativity to come off, and then I'll joke with them, like, you know, and kick back and forth with them, and then, hey, I earned their respect. I did security at Mondawmin Mall, and I've worked with Douglas kids, the same children who they claim to start the riot.
Right.
You know, I've had first-hand experience with them, and they are talented, and they do have respect, but it's all in how the adults give it as well.
Right.
One thing though about that, you can't really blame them because it's on the TV station. Their favorite rappers are wearing their pants sagging. They're home basically dealing with, you know, they're raising themselves, so they're basically emulating what they see.
Right.
So that's where we come in, and you know, we tell them this is the right way to do things. Like, I want to really do a class on etiquette. I'm pretty sure, well, I've done it personally, where I've walked into a couple of kids that I've just seen in the street. Can you tie? Do you open the door for a woman when you see it? Do you walk on the right side of the street? So we need to bring all of that back.
Exactly. And I actually practice that with my son. You know, when he gets on the bus and he sees an elderly person, I don't care where he's sitting, he's told to get up. You know, when he's out and about, I always, you know, try to encourage him and try to remind him that it's not about representing me as his parent, which a lot of parents do instill in the children. Oh, you're representing me. No, you're representing yourself as a person and a man. So it's pretty much, I think that the media does paint a negative picture, but I also feel as though the media is painting the correct picture, because even though they do aim at negativity, they're just showing what is out here. But it's up to us as the community to watch the media and see what needs to be fixed.
So, what would you say? I'm gonna get your guys' opinion, and I'm gonna give you my opinion and what I think. But what do you guys think need to be done to gain the respect of young people, to get them to respect you? And what do you think needs to be done to earn that respect from young people?
First of all, let me take a page out of their lingo. You have to dumb it down.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, I mean honestly, because with me, I mean, you know me personally.
Right.
And as I've grown, first thing you have to realize is your approach.
Right.
Like if I saw you when I was younger, when you were younger, Bruce, do this, do that, do that, and I'm coming after you wrong, you're like, no. So first of all, I think it's the approach. Second, you have to get like-minded individuals that's on the same page.
Right.
And go from there. But it's all about your, I noticed with dealing with young people, it's all about your approach. And you gotta give it to them real. Like with me, a lot of kids till this day from Calvin Middle School see me, Mr. Miles, I thank you, just for keeping it real. I mean, that's just what I did. I never sugarcoated anything. I gave it to you straight, uncut. You like it, you like it. I was young myself, but the household I come from, my father, army man. I was raised, when I get up, I gotta make my bed, I gotta do my chores, and every weekend I like to go to my grandmother's house.
Right.
Before I went to that house though, I had to vacuum my whole house, wash dishes, wash my clothes. I had chores. We need to bring all of that back, I believe. So like I said, the old school. The old school.
Okay.
Mr. Jackson. Look up to this was he was my father from 8 to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just always respect. I watched, he don't know it, but I watched how he carried himself. I watched how he was stern, but it was respectful.
Right.
And the only reason that he came across how he came across because of his love.
Right.
And I instilled that. Like I took, with my coach, when I worked at Calvin Middle School from 95 to 2003, I was 17. I worked with a lot of older guys, and I took something from all of them. I always watched, just try to take a little bit and add it to my life, and it worked. So I'm just here to give back.
Right. That's good. That's good. Nicole, what would you say?
I'm sorry. I just feel as though they need to, first of all, start with the city officials.
Okay.
They make a big impact on the city, and the counties. I don't even think that it should be a such thing as the county versus the city.
Right.
I think that everybody needs to come together to work out something to make it better for all youth.
Right.
It shouldn't be broken down to the projects versus the county, or the hood versus the projects. I think that it takes for everybody to, well, adults, to step back and take a look at who they were, where they were,
Right.
before they got to where they are now. I think if you take a step back and pay attention to your teenage years, you drank, you smoked, you partied, you were pregnant at a young age, you know, it happens. But don't criticize the youth when they do the things that you've done.
Right.
You know, I think that you need to take a step back and figure out what it was that encouraged you as the person that you are today, and think about your story, and find that youth or that young child that you may walk past that has that look on their face, and just ask what is the concern, and figure it out, and don't just say, oh, but that's not my child.
Right.
I just feel like it takes a village
Right.
to raise a child. It takes a village to raise the elementary schools. You know, I feel like it starts at 5th grade. When you see those young girls and those young guys graduating, it's time to take their hand and walk with them. I go to school with my son, and I'm a student. I raise my hand. I say, I don't understand. I ask the questions that I know my son is going to be afraid to ask, or he's going to be embarrassed by. So I put myself into the youth's shoes. I don't wear my shoes all the time.
Right. Wow. That's maybe so that's great feedback on that. And I told you I would give my opinion. So I feel like being a young person growing up, you know, I believe that I just believe in transparency. You both kind of touched on it, you know, reminding yourself that you were once that knucklehead. You were once that high energy kid that wanted to cut class, or wanted to chase the girls, or wanted to chase the boys. You know, whatever it was, you know, you were once that. You know,
Right.
and when you remember that, sometimes when you think about it, make you laugh. But I think sometimes it's the love that we have for young people that make us be the disciplinarians that we become. You know, it's like, hey, stop doing that, because we know what we want for them. But then we got to remember, okay, let me not come off as harsh, because immediately when you come at somebody defensively, they get defensive.
Right,
you know.
right.
So when you want for somebody to receive you, you have to come at them from a transparent standpoint. So I could easily say, hey, look, man, how you feeling today? You know. So I believe that relationship has to be built first. How you feel today? All right, cool. So you know what you did, right? You know, like how do you feel about what you did?
Right.
You know, and just talking to them like, look, I'm gonna tell you one time, and I find it, you know, I find myself doing it with my son. I have to tell my son, look, I lied before, you know. My son lied, you know, so you get in trouble for stuff like lying and stuff like that. So I have to tell him, listen, I lied before. I know why you lied.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, but let's talk about, you know, why you should tell the truth. And I'm gonna tell you a story about what happened to me when I lied and got caught lying. And kids remember stories.
Exactly.
And I believe in stuff like that. That's important, because families not talking like they used to.
No. Can I?
Please.
I wrote a blog. It's on she'severything3.blogspot. It's called The Good Old Days.
Okay.
And like I say, I talk about how our neighbors had the liberty to, we basically respected our neighbors, and they had the liberty to beat our butt.
Right.
Like I can tell you one time, I'll never forget it, and I'll go on. I was living in East Baltimore, but we grew up in Park Heights too. So we were playing on Arlington Elementary Field playing baseball. And my neighbor from East Baltimore just happened to be there. And I'm cussing before I saw her. Then she saw me, and she heard me cuss. That whole day, that whole weekend, I was scared to go back home, because I knew, I mean, she said what she said, but I knew she was gonna tell my mom. But once I saw her, I did stop. But on the flip side of that, now we have these grandmothers that are 37, 38, 39.
Right.
Sundays, they're at the day party.
Right.
They're not home cooking dinner.
Right.
They're not gathering all the kids up talking about old stories. You don't know any because you haven't lived.
Right.
So the transition is crazy.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is. Yeah,
Check that out though. She's Everything 3, The Good Old Days, Tyree Miles.
Okay.
You're right.
Is that your personal blog?
It's some young ladies that I write for. Well, I was writing for them. They're out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And I basically wrote my bio. I put it out there, and they came to Cleveland and liked what they saw. I mean, they liked what they read, and I started writing for them.
Wow. Okay. That's great.
So,
That's great. Yeah. So I mean, we have these young people, and we're expecting them to respond to us in a positive manner, but we're approaching them, like you said, we're approaching them wrong. You know. And I believe if we change the approach, I believe we can reach them a lot better than we've been reaching them. And I think it boils down to, so when we talk about building community, I believe we got to build relationships.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, we don't have the relationships, so you can't always be the parent to your child.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to have the relationship to say, you know what, let me dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I'm my
so
son's
that
friend and his parent.
right.
I'm his best friend.
Yeah. Well, and the reason we do that, some people say, well, you're not supposed to be your child's
Exactly.
friend, but you got to have some kind of balance.
You have to.
As long as they don't know the line,
You
correct?
have
It's
to.
still a line there.
Right.
Even
Still
back
alive.
to, you know, when, I know back in my days, we couldn't say we had a boyfriend. We couldn't say we had a girlfriend.
Right.
You know, we would get in trouble. With my son, he's 12. I just came to reality. You know, I was in the 6th grade and said I had a boyfriend.
Right.
So what do I do with my son? Hey, is it a cute little girl in your class that you may like?
Right.
Because I need to know. So if that's the way that I have to get it out of him,
Right.
then that's what I do.
Yeah.
As far as sex too. Hey, you ain't feeling like you want to do something.
Right.
If so, then we need to figure out how to do this thing and just put the stuff on.
Right.
But I keep it real with him. I don't hide anything from my son. Because back then, do you remember when they smoked, I forgot what you call it, reefer?
Reefer.
Back then it was reefer. My dad used to smoke, right? And I never knew what it smelled like. I never knew what it was. But when I got out in them streets, I got curious.
Right.
Because why? You know, back then, you can't let your kids see that type of stuff.
Right.
So I went out in the streets looking, and when I said, oh, what's this? Oh, this is weed.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Not knowing this is the same stuff.
Right.
So, you know, that's what I mean when it comes to hiding things from the kids, you know, even down to relationships. I've learned back then you might have had the working hard grandmother, and the grandpapa could have been an old alcoholic or something, but grandma's going to hold down home. Now, remind you, grandma's not going to badger the grandpa. She's not going to say he's not doing this and he's not doing that. In our generation, we say he's not doing that, he's not doing that in front of the children.
Right.
So when it comes to even your relationships back then, things happen behind closed doors.
Right.
See, now everything's happening in front of the children.
Right.
And they don't know when to turn off and turn on.
Right.
So the children are going out into the community,
Right.
school. The teachers, I feel sorry for, because like I said, I go to school with my son. I see firsthand. You have 12-year-olds cussing the teacher out.
Right.
You know, and it's sad because it starts at home.
Right.
And then if it doesn't get worked out at home, that's when the community needs to step in and say home isn't working for you. So we're going to start at school, because school is the second place. That's your education.
So I agree 100%. One thing you just said, I mean, is it's like put the icing on the cake. Like people that's where they are now.
Right.
You know, and it's like we're dealing with that every single day. We're dealing with the kids who raise themselves, and not only are they raising themselves, but you see those kids, like you said, who see the parents arguing. You know, they're exposed to so much more than we were exposed to at that age. So they start behaving in certain ways at an earlier age than we did, you know.
Right.
And now it's like, not only do we need the etiquette training for the young people, but now we need etiquette training for the older people to know how to approach not just the child, but the child's parent sometimes.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you could deal with a child, and the child might receive you then, parent, well, what you saying to my son? What you saying to my daughter? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now you got to figure out how to approach the parent or the adult or the guardian to suggest, hey, listen, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm trying to do. And let me just tell you what was going on just now. I was talking to your child about X, Y, and Z when they receive it, you know. But naturally, if a parent comes to you and say, what you talking about your, like, man, your child did this, you know.
Then
so
that
now
goes back to, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you good.
That goes back to when you have the teachers who, you have some teachers, not all, that will call when it's only negativity and no positivity. So then you have our generation, because mind you, back then, we couldn't have a word or an opinion. It was what it was. What the teacher said went.
Right.
It was what it was. You had no opinion. You couldn't say, well, no, she actually got smart with me. I don't play that with mine.
Right.
I hear both sides.
Right.
I'm pulling both of y'all up.
Right.
Now what happened?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because my thing is, now Miss Burks, don't keep calling me every time he do something negative, but then he just make the honor roll.
Right.
You ain't called me and said nothing about that.
Right. Right.
You know, so that's where those attitudes come in. So it's a big chain reaction.
So moving along, dealing with our community, how do you feel we can get people to step up and step out and start being a little more active like you guys are in the community and involved in kids' lives and stuff like that? How do we get that person that's in the house that's been watching the news, that's nervous about how the kids are going to respond to them? How do we get that person to step outside of that shell and stop being scared?
First of all, that person has to own themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Once you own yourself and your story, then you can step out. But until you dig down and realize what your story is and where you came from and how you got there, then you can step out and won't have any type of fear whatsoever, because then you'll be able to say, no, because I understand this person. I know why they're getting smart with me. It's because they really think I'm attacking them. So let me step back and review this. Don't just get scared and then run back in the house. Or if you see the shooting and then you say, oh, I'm not going to tell because it's not, stop snitching. No. If that was your child, what would you want? Stop being afraid of the streets and control the streets.
I think if we get together more, as far as start having meetings, start within the community,
Block
within your
parties,
blocks,
we used to have block
and
parties.
basically get more activities for the kids. Actually show that you basically want to start to move in a certain direction, and then I think people will piggyback off of that.
Wow.
Because basically, if we just talking about this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. If we're just talking about it, it's just talk. We gotta start with the actions first.
Right.
And once we do that, I believe if one person sees it, you know, it's like a piggyback effect to the next. So that's what it starts with. Right
And I
now.
think that they should bring the police athletic league back, because that had a big relationship with the children and the communities. They knew the officers. They knew them. They could walk down the street and the officers became like friends when they were working in that specific recreation center according to the districts. They need to bring that back, because without that, they're never gonna gain this generation's trust or respect when it comes to the police, and it starts with them.
I think it's going to take a lot
Mm-hmm.
for the youth to respect the police again. That's just my personal.
Right.
I think we see a lot of damage done. So I understand what you're saying, but through personal experience, I'm very close with. I visit it's a PAL center off of Liberty Road,
Okay.
and the director is always talking about how the police don't come. By that being a PAL center,
Mm-hmm.
how they don't. So
Yeah.
we need to go to these police stations
Right.
as a community and talk to them about, you know, what they need to do, I believe.
Wow.
Start there.
Wow.
Or something like a
Because they're
teen
not gonna do
summit.
it.
Something like a teen summit where they have youth too as well with the police. I think that could be a great meeting if they had, you know, control over it and the conduct was okay. I think that they should hear the youth out and see and hear their concerns and understand the youth and understand, you know, what they're going through and why they react the way they react to the police.
So I believe that, just like I agree with both of you said, and I just believe that youth nowadays are misunderstood and that they don't have the proper guidance and mentors in their lives that's going to point them in the right direction. You know, and I believe that's needed. You know, you can probably attest to it, both of you, because you've been in that capacity of mentorship, and you probably know that there's people who come to you and ask you things. You probably like, wow, I can't believe they just asked me this. I don't even think I'm qualified to answer it, but it shows you that people are seeking advice. They're seeking information. They're looking for it. They don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to come to people that's in their corner, in their circle, family member, or sometimes they don't want to talk to family about it.
Right.
They need somebody else that can give them that transparent point of view, which you guys are talking about. And I believe what you're doing, I commend you both for what you're doing, we're actually out of time at this point, and I definitely want to find out and let people know how they can reach you. If you want to give your social media information.
Oh, ladies first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with my organization, Faith Wins, you can reach me on Facebook. My name is Nicole Lawson. And you can just inbox me if you have any questions, concerns, or if you need any help or advice.
Thank you.
Goes down. Watch your DM. My name is Tyree Miles. That's Tyreemiles on Facebook. On Instagram and Twitter, it's at FLYT Miles. And you can also hit the hashtag Mr. Miles the Writer. You can find out, you can see basically some of the things I wrote. And my blogs are on she'severything3.blogspot.com, Tyree Miles.
So do I hit you up on Facebook when I want to close?
You
man?
call me personally, man. You already know
right.
how we go. You call me personally.
All right, cool. All right, thank you everybody for coming out. At this time, we have our last act for the night. We have a comedian, Mr. Rob Richardson, is in the building, and he's going to come and close us out with his last couple minutes of comedy here. All right.
I'm so glad to be here. For those of you all who do not know me, my name is Rob Richardson. I'm a resident of Baltimore, been here all my life, born in Johns Hopkins Hospital. Let me tell you about my home. My home is located on about 2 acres of land with multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, swimming pool, tennis court. I love my apartment. It is nice, y'all. I'm telling y'all that right now. Yes. But I have 2 kids, and the thing about kids, they like amusement parks. I took my kids to Hershey Park this summer, and the thing of it is with the amusement park, they like these high rides, all of that stuff. Now, the older you get, the more you like your feet on solid ground. And so these kids, they love these high rides and roller coasters, all of that, and I'm like, hey, I don't like that. I'm not gonna ride that because I'm afraid of heights. Any of you all afraid of heights? I'm afraid of heights, man. Park Heights, Liberty Heights. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's about to snow now in Baltimore. People get crazy when it snows. Don't they get crazy? Oh, yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, people, matter of fact, this last big snowstorm that hit the East Coast, I'm pulling up in my neighborhood, and this, you know, people put chairs out. You can get free furniture, too, when it snows. Y'all know that? This guy put these chairs out there, right? This chair in front of his home. And so I pull the chair out. It's the only spot in the neighborhood. I pull the chair out, put it in the snow, I pull in the parking spot. He come running out the house. Hey, you can't park there. I'm like, sir, it's no other place to park. Otherwise, I'll be in the street. My wife is about to come home. You can't park there. I said, sir, I can't leave my car in the street, so I'm not moving. I'm calling the police on you. As soon as he did that, man, I backed right out of his driveway. I'm telling you that right now. It's crazy out there. What is everybody talking about? Everybody's talking about football. That's what they're talking about. Talking about the Broncos. And you got Von Miller. You got Peyton Manning, DeMarcus Ware, and do not forget the most famous Bronco of all. The one OJ was riding down the road in. Y'all remember that one, don't you? You know what I'm glad about? I'm glad that it was actually Super Bowl 50. That's easy for me, because those Roman numerals were messing me up. I'm sure people have, what Super Bowl is it? I don't know. I think it's extra, extra large. I don't have a clue as to what it is. But a lot of stuff is going on here in the city of Baltimore. A lot of good stuff and some bad stuff. And one of the things, you know, this is a great show, and I commend the host and all of the people who participate in this great show in this great city of Baltimore. But the thing of it is, one of the things I think we need to do with the youth, a lot of them ride these motorcycles. I personally say, build them motorcycle parks. That's what I say, because they're going to ride those motorcycles anyway. Yep. You know what I mean? So give them something, a legal outlet. You think about this. They can take a dolphin from the Atlantic Ocean, bring them to the aquarium, train them, feed them. People will come to see that thing go, Why can't these guys, man, they jumping, riding these motorcycles, doing all kind of stuff. They're just doing it in a legal way. Give them a legal outlet. Let them do something positive. And what you could also do is pay them. That way you'll get them off the corners as well. So you're killing a whole bunch of birds in one stone. But some of these guys, man, it's crazy. You know, sometimes you can be driving down the road and they pulling wheelies. So they got the all-terrain vehicles. They got motorcycles. They go down to they ride these things. And I was in standstill traffic one day. Standstill, ain't moving nowhere. And this kid, he had to be about 12, maybe 13 years old, something like that. This kid, he didn't have it all there. He's doing a wheelie in the middle, weaving in and out of cars. Now, he didn't have a motorcycle. He was just craziness. And before I get out of here, I think one of the things that the older people ought to do, especially the older guys, be mentors to the younger guys. Don't try to be the younger guys and you 60 years old. You got guys out here 60 years old walking around with cruddies. Now y'all know the haircuts, the cruddies, right? That the young people wear. Walking around with a cruddy, 60 years old. Now the problem is they bald on top, the cruddy is all around the side. Hey look, my name is Rob Richardson. Thank you so much, Baltimore, for your time. I appreciate it.